Are you looking for an electric melting furnace that delivers power, efficiency, and precision? Whether you're melting gold, silver, or copper, the ToAuto TRF3000 is built to handle the job. Today we're going to cover everything you need to know, its features, best practices, and tips to get the most out of your melts. What's up, you guys? It's Ocean here. Yeah, I melt my own silver bars. I'm told it's a hot hobby. Maybe it's just me. We'll cover everything you need to know, how it works, how to get the best results, and why this might be the perfect addition to your metalworking setup. Whether you're a stacker, prospector, jeweler, or just want to make some silver for fun, stick around because we're going all in on the TRF3000. This model has an 1800 watt high power heating element. This is really the selling point for me on the TRF3000. No other electric melting furnace heats up like this one. It reaches temperatures of 1150 degrees Celsius, that's where I set it, in 15 minutes, under 15 minutes. That's half the time as an older ToAuto model furnace I have, and 1/3 the time compared to another brand furnace I have that says Italy on it. This is the key point. The heating element that ToAuto is putting in the TRF3000 is far superior to anything I've seen, and that's the truth. I've never seen an electric melting furnace heat up this well. The TRF3000 provides fast, even heating, making pouring silver a lot more fun because it's a great tool. Another great feature is the precise digital temperature control. This allows for accurate temperature settings, and this is great. I'm certainly glad I'm not working with an analog control here, but ToAuto has a digital display like this LED display. Another thing is it's compact and it sits very sturdy on a table. It's designed for small workshops and small melts, right? That's the idea. But it's a nice little tool to have. Pouring silver, so much fun. I guess it's a thing for electric melting furnaces to not sit squarely on a table and tend to wobble. I haven't experienced that. Let me know if you've experienced a wobble. But the TRF is built to sit stably on your workbench. And it does come with a couple graphite crucibles, and they're, graphite obviously is used because it's optimized for high thermal conductivity and durability, unless you drop them because they're also fragile. This furnace is ideal for casting and precious metal scrap melting. It's a great choice whether you're wanting to make your own bullion bars or make jewelry or just recycle metal is another great use. And before using the TRF3000, safety should definitely be your top priority. And here's a couple tips on safety. First, choose a safe workplace, something well ventilated that's going to prevent exposure to fumes, because when you melt, especially copper, is going to let off fumes. Keep a fire extinguisher nearby. I do that myself. Place the furnace on a heat-resistant surface. Yeah, think about what kind of surface you're working on, because you could see on my table, there's burns on the table. So you definitely want to use a table that's ready for that. Have all the essential gear, heat-resistant gloves to handle everything that's hot. A lot of things get hot. Protective eyewear is always a big one. I'm always wearing protective eyewear when I'm working with this stuff. And long sleeve clothing is probably a good idea. I don't always do that, but closed-toed shoes, definitely do that. You want to protect your skin. And before you start it up, always inspect your power cord. Make sure there's not any damage to it, and ensure the graphite crucible is intact, because cracks can cause spills or worse. And check that the lid to the top of the furnace fits securely before heating it up. Those are 3 really good things to check. And just be careful when pouring silver. If it starts talking back, you may get into some heated arguments, and you don't want that smoke, believe me. So once your furnace is set up, it's time to start melting So to prepare your metal, you're going to make sure it's free of any dirt, non-metallic materials, anything that's on it. Kind of clean that stuff off. And because you don't want to put dirt in your crucible, break down any large pieces that may not fit the diameter of your crucible. There's the 1 kilo, 2 kilo, and 3 kilo sizes. And as they go up, the opening is larger. So consider that. When loading the crucible, don't overfill it. Leave a little bit of space, and filling it up to the top is not something I ever do. Definitely don't do that. In fact, when I pour, usually the amount of the metal that's in the crucible is less than half the crucible. That's pretty much always the case for me. So I don't fill it up all the way. And when you're setting the temperature, turn on the furnace and set the temperature to what you want to set it to. So for this model, if you're getting this model, just turn it on and set it to 1150 degrees and allow for 10 to 15 minutes for preheating or for heating, and I've found that it takes about 12 minutes to 13 minutes. When pouring the metal, you're going to use the crucible tongs to remove the crucible and keep the crucible away from your body. Be mindful of where you're holding that crucible because it's really hot. Pour slowly into molds to avoid splashing. Yeah, and that's kind of something you pick up because I think when you first start pouring, you splash a little bit, and you get a sense of the viscosity of the molten silver is what it is. So it just takes a little bit of learning. And allow the metal to fully solidify before handling. After you pour, it's still going to be liquid, and then you'll kind of see it all harden. So just be careful with it. For crucible maintenance, there's an included graphite crucible, actually 2 of them, that come with the furnace. These are consumable items that will wear out over time. And I'm going to cover that in a second. But here's how to extend the life of your crucibles. Avoid sudden temperature changes. Preheat the crucible before full use. But also, don't leave the crucible in the furnace when it doesn't need to be there. Like when you first turn it on and after you turn it off. Never drop really cold metal into a hot crucible. This can cause cracks. And clean your crucible a little bit after every melt. And by that I mean just remove any slag that may be in there, any metal, or if there but don't put any products on it, or really wipe it down very, very hard. Use very light pressure. I've also visually noticed that graphite breaks down when exposed to air. So just put your crucibles in a bag or a box. If there's a fan blowing on them, you'll see that they will actually start to shrink. So put the crucibles away after use, and that helps preserve their life. If you see cracks or significant wear, you definitely want to replace it. You don't want to have any cracks. If the surface becomes excessively rough, they'll start pitting, and the pitting intensifies and the holes get bigger, so you'll see that, and you won't want to keep going with that and change out to get a new crucible. Other methods of determining when to replace a crucible include what I do. Just change them out every 9 to 12 hours of runtime on them, but I still inspect for cracks as well. Then I've also heard of people weighing the crucibles, and after say 10% of the weight is gone, replacing the crucible, or some other percentage. That's another fairly popular method. So we'll all decide how we want to determine that a crucible should be changed. But if you just change it every 9 hours, I've seen that is the point where you're reasonably pushing your crucible into working while worn, while also changing it out before pushing it to the limit. If you run into any problems, here's how to solve The problems is the furnace not heating up. Make sure that the power cord is plugged in. That's probably the problem. If the problem is that the crucible cracks during use, the crucible has reached the end of its lifespan. Yeah, so like I said, you don't want to use a cracked crucible ever. Is the metal not pouring smoothly? That means that the metal may not be hot enough. So you'll want to increase the temperature slightly, look at that and make sure the mold is hot. If you're running your furnace with an extension cord, that's going to reduce the amount of power that goes to the furnace. It's better to plug it directly into an outlet. I just poured some copper. I didn't have any issues pouring copper with the TRF3000. I didn't use any flux. So it all went smoothly. I didn't use any flux for it. This furnace just gets hot enough to not need it. And that's great. And here's just, I guess my closing thoughts is the ToAuto TRF3000 is a powerful and efficient electric melting furnace. And it's great for small scale pouring. And other kinds of metalworking. A lot of people are into jewelry making, and it's great for that as well. You could do one of those two things, or recycle metal by melting it down and casting your own bars. There's a lot of different things you could do. It offers precise control and reliable performance, and I've seen that. So if you're serious about metal melting, it's important to follow the best practices for safety, maintenance, and the proper melting techniques. What do you think? Have you used the TRF3000 or another electric melting furnace? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching to the very end and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Hey guys, I appreciate your time. Stack wide as the ocean.